Hello friends, welcome back. We're going to learn to knit today. Before we talked about the things that we would need for knitting, I forgot you need scissors too, but that's neither here nor there. Everybody's going to need scissors to do any kind of crafty things. So there's different styles of knitting. There's the typical knitting, which people call throwing or English style, which is what I first learned how to knit. It was frustrating. I could not get my hands to work. And then somebody showed me another style called continental or European style knitting. I love that. That closely matches my crochet style. So it was much easier for me to pick up. And then there's like Portuguese knitting, Norwegian knitting, like there's all kinds of knitting, kinds of Irish knitting. But pretty much picking or throwing, that's like standard. People will say I'm a picker or I'm a throw. I'm a picker. So that means that I use the knitting needles. Ooh, that was pretty close. The knitting needles to pick the yarn and carry it through the work. And throwing is where you throw the yarn around the needle and then you pull that through the work. But today we're going to just show you one basic cast on. Yeah, because that's what you need to do when you first started to knit anyway. So casting on. Casting on means you're going to put a number of stitches on your needle. Casting, kind of like, fishing. You know how you cast a reel? Well, it's like caught onto the knitting needle. Similarly, thinking function-wise, we're casting onto the knitting needle the number of stitches that we need for a project. Since we're only going to make a swatch, a typical swatch is 4 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to knit a 4-inch swatch. We're going to start. So hence we go. So when we have our ball of yarn or skein of yarn, here's the skein of yarn. You can either pull from the center, which is what I prefer, which is center pull, or you can work from the outside, which I do not prefer because it gets all like tangly and stuff. So I'm going to work from the center pull. And what you do to pull the center pull is stick your fingers in the middle of the yarn and pull the yarn out of the hole. And just pull quite a bit. All right, so here's my yarn. Here are my needles. We're only going to use one needle for this, for right now. So one needle, and then use, if you're righty, which I am, use your right hand. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot. So here is the piece of yarn. I'm going to wrap it around my finger twice. Crisscross it. That's how I do it. I'm going to pull it off of my finger. So now it looks like a little loop-de-loop. It looks like a pretzel. Beep, beep, beep. And then I'm going to pull that through, just the circle through. So I have a tail. Here's my tail and my yarn. And see, it slippy slips, slip, slip. Some people use a longer tail because it helps to like hold your yarn in your hand like that. And then you're going to slip it onto the needle like so. Not too tight because you want it to slide. So give it a little room here. Okay. And then a basic cast on is to wrap your yarn around the needle with a series of slip knots. So I'm going to take my yarn, wrap it around my thumb. I'm going to put the yarn on the needle. See how that has that little circle loop? And then pull it on. This is just a really basic cast on. So I'm going to wrap the yarn again around my thumb. So there's a little loop. push yarn onto the needle. So I slip the needle through the yarn like so. I like to hold my yarn in my hand like this. Can you see that? Just to give it a little even tension. So you could also do it like this, where you wrap it around your index finger like that, and then like so. So wrap it around your index finger. I'm going to put the needle in front of the yarn through the hole. Do you see how that's working here? Here's a bunch of stitches. Or simply, you could just make a loop. You know, like tying your shoes, make a loop. See? And then twirl it on. Make a loop. We're making like bunny ears here, you know what I mean? It's super easy. Make a bunny ear. And through the loop. Make a bunny ear. Through the loop. I'm going to put like 16 stitches, I think, on here, because I think that's about an inch. Okay. Again, so we're going to make a loop, slip the needle through the middle of the loop, pull it through. Make a loop. See how I'm doing that? We're making a loop. I'm going to close it with my fingers like that. So it's going to have that little crisscrossy going on here. Put it through the bunny ears. Don't worry if it's a little wonky in the beginning. This, I remember my first piece of knitting, which I will show you eventually, what it looked like. I probably tore it out like 5 billion times to get it halfway decent looking, but I kept it because, you know, posterity. I like things for posterity. So through the loop, let's slow this down. So wrap it around my finger. We're going to bring the needle in front of the yarn, pull it through the loop, and there we go. So see how these stitches look down at the bottom? And then I just pull them through, like so. Here's the bunny ear. Here's the bunny ear. Let's count my stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so 18 works. All right, so here is the cast on. That's a basic cast on of 1 row of stitches. Not even a row of stitches, just the cast on stitches. But see how nice and neat they look? Mine are nice and neat, but that's a basic cast on.